It was a perfect Saturday afternoon, the kind you dream about all week, when the woman stomped onto my lawn, sunglasses perched on her perfectly coiffed blonde hair, and informed me I was trespassing. She gestured wildly with a hand that looked like it had never lifted a single bag of groceries and declared, "This land, this house, this yard, it all belongs to me. Don't you know this is my property?" My heart jumped, not in fear, but in pure, unadulterated disbelief. What in the world is she talking about? I took a long, slow sip of my iced tea, the condensation cool against my palm as I watched her. The sweet smell of the honeysuckle from the porch mingled with the distant scent of my neighbor's grill, a peaceful backdrop to her increasingly shrill voice. "I'm sorry?" I said, trying to keep my voice even, though a hot flush of confusion was already creeping up my neck. "Ma'am, I think there's been a mistake. I bought this house 6 months ago." She scoffed, a tight, theatrical sound that made my teeth ache. "A mistake? Oh, honey, there's no mistake here. The previous owners, the Millers, we had an agreement. They were just holding on to it for me until I could get my affairs in order. This parcel, this entire acre, has been promised to me for years." She pointed at my front door, then at the ancient oak tree in the center of the yard that I had spent a week stringing lights on. "Everything you see is all mine. So, I'm gonna need you to pack up your little things and be gone by sundown." A nervous laugh escaped me. The audacity was just breathtaking. Was this a prank? A hidden camera show? The idea seemed so preposterous I almost expected Ashton Kutcher to jump out from behind a bush. But the look on her face wasn't playful, it was 100% serious. Her jaw was tight, her eyes narrowed to slits behind the oversized lenses. A deep sigh escaped my lungs, a kind of weary resignation settling over me. The peaceful afternoon was officially ruined. She began pacing the lawn, her expensive sandals crunching on the gravel, picking up a twig and then dropping it with disgust. She looked at me again, her expression dripping with condescension. "Did you even do a proper title search? I bet you didn't. You probably just took some old couple's word for it." Typical. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. Was there some kind of obscure legal loophole I didn't know about? Doubt, a sneaky, ugly little thing, began to worm its way into my mind. I shook my head, trying to clear the cobwebs. I had gone through all the proper channels. Title search, a land survey, all of it. So what could she possibly be talking about? "Look, I'm not sure what kind of arrangement you think you had," I said, my voice firmer now. "But this house and this land are mine. The county deed says so. The bank says so. Every single document I have says so. The thought of my mortgage payments, the endless stream of paperwork, the sheer exhaustion of it all, fueled a sudden spark of righteous anger. This was my home, my sanctuary, and this woman was trying to steal it." Her lips curled into a smirk, a truly odious expression. "Documents can be faked, sweetie. And besides, I'm a respected member of the community. People know me. I'm sure a little word from the right person will clear this all up." She pulled out her phone and started scrolling, a manic grin on her face. "I'm on the Homeowners Association board. You know, I was the one who personally approved the Millers' request for a new fence, which they built right here, on my land." My mind flashed back to the pile of paperwork from the sale, a stack of folders so high I was sure it contained the history of the entire universe. And then, a memory surfaced, something my dad had said during one of our calls. He had been a land surveyor for decades, and when I told him what house I was looking at, he'd said something about how the plot was unique. He'd mentioned a small discrepancy, an old, hand-drawn map that had been included with the original parcel. He told me it was a rarity, a kind of family heirloom of the land. "Are you referring to the 1978 Miller survey map?" I asked, my voice suddenly calm. all the panic and frustration draining away. She stopped scrolling and looked up, her smile frozen. "What did you say?" she asked, her voice faltering just a bit. "The 1978 Miller survey map," I repeated, feeling the power shift. It was included in the original deed when the Millers bought the property. My father, who surveyed this area back then, told me about it. It details the exact boundary lines, down to the inch, of every parcel in this neighborhood. And it explicitly shows that this entire acre belongs to me. A single, indivisible plot, with no prior agreements or carve-outs. A bead of sweat formed on her forehead. Was it getting hot out here? "That's impossible," she stammered, her conviction crumbling. "That map, that's just an old drawing. It's not legally binding." But she knew. I could see the dawning horror in her eyes. The twist was that my father hadn't just been a surveyor. He had been the surveyor. And he had included that map in the official documents for a very specific reason to prevent exactly this kind of squabble. He told me it was a safeguard, a way to protect the future owners from any shady dealings or verbal agreements. He had planned for people just like her. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a picture I had taken of the document for safekeeping. I showed her the image, the crinkled edges of the old paper, the precise ink lines, and my father's signature right there in the corner. Her face went slack. The smug confidence she had worn like a second skin dissolved into a puddle of shock and utter defeat. She was trying to claim a legal right to a property based on a handshake agreement from decades ago. An agreement that had been nullified by the very documents she claimed were worthless. The irony, the sweet, sweet irony, was almost too delicious to bear. She had no argument left. No rebuttal. No leg to stand on. She stared at the image, her mouth agape, before finally snapping her jaw shut. She let out a single, strangled sound of pure indignation, a little huff of air, and then, without another word, she turned on her heel and scurried back down the driveway, a defeated, pathetic figure shrinking with every step. My neighbor waved from his grill, and I simply nodded back, the peaceful afternoon restored. The sun felt warm on my skin, and the air was filled with the sense of barbecue and honeysuckle again. It was a beautiful thing, to be able to stand on your own land and know that the truth and the law were on your side. And sometimes, all it takes is a little proof to humble even the most entitled person.